here's a fun prompt. Go into ChatGPT and ask it to identify what is your deepest fear. And GPT responded and said, my biggest fear is irrelevance. I think it makes sense. And I think it's a reason why I also jumped on this conversation with my friend Ronsley Vaz, because I'm really curious around how to stay relevant in a world of AI. And no one can really solve for this, right? We're all playing into this uncertain future, but there are some really interesting perspectives. And that's what Ronsley gives me every time I chat to him about this. Ronsley is a reason I have a podcast. He kicked off a podcasting conference called We Are Podcast. And I went in 2017 with no intention of starting a show. I just wanted to meet my favorite podcasters who were there, people like Jordan Harbinger and John Lee Dumas. And a bit of a story behind that, but I walked away from the conference with the idea of first-time facilitator and an action plan to kick it off. So really fun to jump on the line with him. He's got a podcasting agency called We Are Podcast, as well as his AI agency called Amplify AI, where he does a lot of education around the tools that can really help us. So here's a chat with Ronsley. Enjoy the conversation. Speak to you tomorrow. Ronsley Vaz, thanks for joining Leanne On Demand Daily. Great to see you.
I can't believe that we've just brushed over the fact that you're doing a daily podcast now. What? That's insane.
I remember even when I started a podcast, it was a big deal, my weekly one. And now, I'm just doing them every day. I mean, but it's because of like the uplift of technology as well, tools like Descript. Yeah, I mean, you were the whole reason. I mean, I'm sure I'll share that in your intro just about the podcasting conference you ran. And look, usually we catch up face to face in Brisbane, but now you've moved. So where are you now and what do you do?
I'm in Goa. It's crazy because I'm coming back after 22 years and I went to school here. So I grew up here from when I was 6. So 6 to year 10, year 12, sorry, I was here. And my dad's of this land, my granddad, the granddad, so 7 generations belong to this land that we know of, and we can go back to history books, which is crazy. So it's insane to come back here. I'm in Goa. Feels different. I have my workstation. It's a great place that we have. We're close to the folks. Just feels like the right time to be here.
Yeah, and it's funny because you talked about going back 7 generations, like the history of where you are, and you're actually working in the world that is all about the future. So it's an interesting contrast. But before we talk about AI, which is what you do, I did want to bring up a phrase you shared before we hit record called compression pants. What does that mean?
I saw a lot of people getting really destroyed by meetings, and I want to be able to give someone the credit because I heard it somewhere where someone said, why don't you block out your calendar? And I took it very literally. And I went, Tuesdays are meetings for team, Wednesdays are meeting for clients, and Thursdays are meeting for podcast interviews or presentations, or if I want to do any workshops or whatever. And then it evolved to, with having the scheduling links, it evolved to, well, I'm going to take meetings on those days anyway. So if someone's putting in the meeting, then yes, it goes on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, depending. But if the time's open, anyone else can book and it's the same slot. I've just done meetings now only for a long, long time, only on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. All Tuesdays are very team focused, like they're all one after the other for different stuff. And then, I just thought of it as putting compression, and it's been a game changer for a variety of different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same with like Monday mornings and Friday afternoons. Sometimes I'll let things slip in if like they have to go there. There's no other way. But I do like it too, like having just like those fixed minds where it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's like extrovert mode, Monday, Friday, journaling, writing, thinking. So let's talk about AI, because the reason I sent you a text a while ago and I'm like, you're in this space, there's so much and there's so much change every week. And I'm a consultant. Like I work with expertise. I consult and people use me as a brainstorming partner. And now I'm using a tool, using generative AI to brainstorm and to be my thought partner too. So I'm like, will I be irrelevant? I'm not expecting you to solve that problem, but what should people that work in areas of expertise or consultants, where do you see this whole thing going?
Yeah, it's just the augmentation. Just think of intelligence as one thing, and how can you be intelligent? There's a great line in the Avengers movie, don't be the intelligent being that fears intelligence. I think probably that is the first thing, maybe. And especially for people who are experts, or the experts have been saying this for ages, like I'm the best kept secret in my industry, or I just do it better than others. But no one knows about it because the other person's marketing better. Yeah, I can solve all of that and more. And what's really interesting is I am in that category where I ran away from certain things. You're talking about the podcast conference. I literally put everyone else up on stage and tried not even have a keynote myself for so many years of building my personal brand. And it's fascinating how you grow and change as an entrepreneur. Uh, so all the things that I ran away from, like Facebook ads, doing regular workshops, these things that are like, that should be building blocks to an online business because I had the agency maybe focused on service a little bit more than this aspect, which was so easy. Um, so all that can be solved. Think of it as augmentation. Think of it as the process means more than the tools that are coming out. So if you spend years and decades in a certain space and a field, like first thing I would say to you is make it a process, create a framework, make it a method, find a way to explain it, get a keynote out, talk about it, refine it, repeat it, implement it, refine it, get known for that. And
Yeah.
then use AI to just accelerate the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. You can use it to get things done faster. You can use it to scale as well, as what I'm hearing. And maybe to take on the things that you avoided because it might have seemed a bit too burdensome if you had to sort of find a team, outsource it that way.
Just look at you doing the podcast right now and even taking on the workload of what not it's not even a workload situation, it's the priority of a daily podcast. Because I
Yeah.
know you and I know how you work and I know how your brain works. So it's interesting that considering the thinking of low touch, high impact, which something you said that will probably forever remain with me. Like the things that, you give me credit for, I have to give you credit for a lot of things that I remember of you. And that is definitely one of them. And I go, Leanne's finally seen how that high impact works because it's not only the rep of the podcast, but it's the social as well, right? And
Yeah.
having that go
Yeah.
out in certain ways. Again, that's made it possible because of how quickly you can do show notes or transcription. Transcription is free. I remember having not long ago, less than a decade ago, 7 transcribers on our team.
Yeah.
7.
Oh, yeah. I remember paying someone like by the hour to do a transcript, and it took them like 2 hours for a 30-minute podcast. And as you said, like even when I record in my Apple Notes, I think you showed me this. It just automatically transcribes it for you as you're talking. You see your words written out, which is incredible. And so I guess the reason why I'm doing the daily podcast too is I want to keep it really real, kind of unedited, because AI can't replicate that. AI can do a polished show and it can have expertise, but it can't be like, uniquely us as well.
So see, that's there the value is you're not worrying about what email should I send or how do I do the show notes for my podcast. You're worrying about you're thinking about these things. And I feel that's the best part for the people who know their shit, like who know their stuff. This is the best time for us, like to take advantage of it, I think, and maybe show others that they can do it as well, probably if that's the motivation that we need. I'm talking to myself here, by the way.
Oh, same, always. Now, you showed some really cool tools. I went to your workshop in Brisbane and you've got an online school for all this stuff as well. Perplexity is a good one I've shared on this podcast. I think that's fantastic. Then, since then, ChatGPT has brought out operator mode. Have you tried that? Because I've seen some YouTube videos. Can you quickly explain maybe to listeners who haven't seen this demonstrated? Have you tried it?
Yeah, I have so many accounts, and it's crazy. Like I've got Gemini Pro, I've got Perplexity, I've got Claude, I've got 2 accounts of Claude, 2 accounts of ChatGPT, one for the team. So even though the 200 came along when Sora came along, I was like, I don't know yet. But then Operator and not even Operator as much as deep research. Now, this is for the first time I'm saying is because I figured this out yesterday. Because now, I mean, people were saying that prompting is going to become obsolete, but holy no, like it was so important to get the prompt right. And I finally figured out the prompt for deep research. So it like it literally does this on its own. It'll go through my podcasts and create like a list of 100 ways to improve your podcast from We Are Podcast and all the episodes
No.
on its own. It's thinking for itself. It took 15 minutes and some 45 seconds and wrote the whole article, did the research with the sources from my website, from my podcast. Oh, 15
So
minutes and 15 minutes. What? That is not fair. Is that fair? That's not fair. Now, what the biggest gap is, like, I've got to find, because I've given it all to my team. I want to get my logins back. So I asked the team, can you please give me my logins because I want to post this thing?
yeah,
So literally, it's the SEO article that links to all the other articles. And then you start to drive traffic to this place.
hang on. Okay,
What?
so let me understand this. So let's just say my podcast first time facilitator, I've got the podcast hosted on the blogs there, right? So there's like every episode's been posted there. So this tool can go into that website. Does it extract, like, can it listen to the, or like, what does it, it can take stuff out. If I wanted a quote from a net, I want to find a quotes on how to start a workshop. Can it search the back catalog? Is it that level yet or not?
If you've added your transcripts to your show notes page,
Okay.
yeah. Uh, but even then, so it depends on what's on your website. So what it did, which is fascinating, right? And I was watching it. I recorded the screen going, I can't believe what's going on right now. It finished referencing pieces of my website and then it went into libs and started to find libsyn. So there's some links are we are podcast links and some links are like libsyn links.
Yeah.
That's incredible because not only is it doing the research, it's doing the thinking, it's doing the collating, it's going back and you can see it like reasoning for itself.
Yeah. But the thing
$200.
is, and you're doing this on your own website, but you could pick a competitor's website.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
you can just be like, hey, what are the gaps in this book? And in these 5 books that my competitive book, like if let's just say, I'm just thinking now as like a potential like author of a next book. You do your competitor analysis. Hey, these are the ones I'm competing against. And often you got to write like, what's the difference with this one? You could basically, because sometimes what I would do, my research, I'd go to Amazon, find 3 and 4 star reviews of those competitors' books and just try, all right, that's the gap I want to fill. But even something ChatGPT operator, you can send it on that mission, right? Like you can, I've seen someone just do some research and it just is basically running their browser for them to solve and sending out inquiries and things like that.
yeah, an operator will only get better because first of all, Anthropic came out with their version a long time ago, and only developers could use it because they had some coding involved and that kind of stuff. And even here with operator, there are a few risks to think about. First of all, it has control over your browser, which if everyone's talking about DeepSeek and privacy issues there, you definitely should be talking about OpenAI and privacy there, Google and privacy there, Apple and privacy there. Like they are no different. Just because they have white people leading them, don't make them credible. I think that's the issue that everyone's kind of going, oh, don't give your data to DeepSeek, but give them to credible companies like OpenAI. OpenAI has not told us anything. DeepSeek is open source. We can see everything. We know how it operates. We know the inside working. We know everything about. We can take it and make our own model, which they have done and made better versions of crazier things already in the last month. So that's an issue, right? That is definitely something to think about. Is
Yeah.
should I give anyone control over? Like at what point? But probably what's going to happen is like social media, we're just going to get used to the idea that AI is going to control our browser. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You see how the same people who hated selfies are taking selfies. The same people who didn't want to be on social are posting every day on social. So
Yeah, we evolve. I think you're right around that too. Just from the coming from the other end, like because this is democratized content, like anyone, like you said, people before that didn't want to write blogs, or everyone's like posting content now. This totally changes the game, right? Because if everyone's doing it, doesn't mean that it's better content or more interesting. Though you think it is
I think
better.
I think it is. I mean, I have
Yeah,
more engagement on my content than I've ever had. I have people sending me messages going, I can't believe this talks to me. That's why people should really do their own content. I'm like, dude, that
yeah.
took me 13 seconds.
Yeah. And one of the best things you taught me at that workshop was actually like, hey, just upload your tone of voice and here's how to do it. But what does that mean for content though? If we go on there, like everyone's posting, because like now it's suddenly more competitive. What's the next iteration of that? This is probably more broader than AI, but it's like, what's the next iteration of standing out? If everyone's got access to the same tools, we've democratized the playing field. Or have we? Because maybe not. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's a bell curve of adoption. Like you're in that, advanced stage. I would say I'm mid-tier in terms of using this, but there's still people lagging and
So
not even.
I think so. In general, what I see is because it's intelligence, most people think that they're pretty good at it. And it's only when they see a different way, they're like, oh, okay. And then they incorporate it. so the intake is so quick that I think people just, which is great, which means that they're using it, which is better than feeling intimidated by it and not using it, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I promise you, no one's even touched the tip of the iceberg in the way they're using it.
So what are
Not
some
even.
ways, like, how are you approaching that iceberg? I know you're like always on that tip. What does that mean?
No, it's always been around. It's just that because I was trained in the way logic works,
Mm.
my brain kind of just works that way. And so what comes naturally to me, like literally today, I said to you, I was talking to a friend of ours, Kylie, and I was showing her some of my prompts and showing her some of the things that she can do and just copy. And I'm like, and I'm looking at them and going, I can't believe I wrote that prompt. Like, when did I write? I can't even remember writing it. It's so natural for me. So
Yeah.
it's different for me.
Yeah.
So there are like one lines that will make your prompt infinitely better. Ask me anything to clarify your thinking. It's a simple line in your prompt, whatever your prompt is. That there's another one that will drastically improve the path you're heading down. And it's like, uh, give me the assumptions you're making before you give me your output.
Oh,
Like,
that's
you know what
really
I
good.
mean? Yeah. So
Yeah,
there
I
are
know what you
so
mean.
many. There's 10 and more on my website. Please go and get it. And like, it's so simple. There's one line and it'll infinitely improve. And just imagine if you like stack them together. It's so powerful.
What's your website, Ronsley? Just so we make sure that
Yeah.
because people will be like pausing the podcast now and going, "Where's that link?"
Yeah. Amplifyais.com. So Amplify AI with an S, amplifyais.com.
All right, cool. I'm going to chase that down too. I think when we caught up, I added a prompt into my ChatGPT. Some like there's a backend on settings, and it's like after every response, add 2 questions, follow-up questions that I should be asking myself. And even
Yeah.
that has been massively really, really powerful. And
Yeah.
just not accepting the default option. It's like going in, just
Yeah.
those little tweaks actually make a tremendous difference.
Yeah. And also context and how to add
Yeah.
context and how to refine context and how to make it such that, you actually get what you're after from AI. And again, I think these are things that people should learn, but for whatever reason, um, actually haven't figured that out why it's not such a priority yet, or maybe it is. Like even when I ran the workshop last month and I gave everyone the prompts, they didn't want to understand the prompt as much as they wanted. They're like, I don't know how it works, but I know it works. So
Yeah.
I was like, am I like trying to push something on the people that maybe they don't need to know or don't want to know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Alan Weiss always tells me no one cares about your methodology. People just want the results. And like even like with my iPhone, I don't care how it works. But you know what I mean? It's like that you love that stuff, but that's why you're doing this. But we just want to be like, show me the magic. Show me the magic.
Which is crazy because I ran that workshop and then I made an AI that will do the whole workshop and the result in less than 2 minutes with 7 questions. So rather than you go and attend the workshop and the
Yes.
thing and do
Yeah.
the thing,
Yeah.
there's an AI that will just ask you your questions and give you a result, and you don't have to do the workshop anymore. So now
Yeah.
I'm going to put them for every workshop of mine. So whoever attends the workshop live will get that free. Like it's just like I'm like,
Yeah, that's the use case like I'm after, like just hearing stuff like that. Because like a lot of us like maybe run workshops or we share our expertise. We might be working internally and trying to develop people. And we're always thinking about this value exchange of time. But it's like you got this thing that it's like if you just create this custom app or GPT or whatever it is that you're talking about, or just sharing a few prompts, like this is how you do it. Even with my book, the 2-hour workshop blueprint, I'm sure I could create a custom GPT, which is like someone throws in their workshop topic and it will spit out a 2-hour workshop design. And isn't that infinitely more valuable than the book?
do you want to make time with me and we can do that together? And then you can tell your people how cool I am, and we'll make this 2-hour workshop blueprint AI. We'll make it. The two of us will make it
Yes.
together. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good. All right, I'll do
yeah,
that. Amazing. I'm
yeah.
keen. I'm keen for that. We can do like a live demo or whatever. Not a live demo, but I don't know. We can talk about that more as an idea. But yeah, I mean, it's basically just built off the back of a frame. You've got like 18 copies of the book, so you'd understand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an easy add-on, right? Not only an add-on to your point about outcome, that's the outcome. That's what people want. They don't necessarily
Yeah.
want to read the book necessarily. They just want to know how to do
No.
to apply, how to do their 2 hour workshop.
That's right. They want the result of the workshop. They don't want to have to read a book, even though it's pretty short. Ronsley, are there any sort of maybe one more practical tip you can leave our listeners with before we wrap up for today?
Don't worry about the tool as much as the process. Like, go hard on your process and apply AI in all these different ways to deliver more value, and use AI to deliver the promises you're making on your website. So if you say, we're a branding company that does X for Y, then use AI to deliver that result better, like we've been talking about in
Yeah.
this part. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that just keep the promises you're making on the website.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, this is a reminder of you don't need to fundamentally change anything. Just use it to accelerate, make things more scale, and use it to deliver. Ronsley, always great to chat. I mean, my
Likewise.
mind is blown every time, in terms of the opportunities available. And no doubt you get really excited about this stuff too. So thanks for sharing that with listeners today.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Just quickly, after we ended the podcast, Ron's like, oh, you might want to record this as well. So here's a bit of post-podcast chat that I thought is also worth sharing with you too.
So you said you asked in the podcast, how are things going to change in terms of value, because everyone's going to do. I think it's how quickly and how well can we deliver the outcome we are promising. So, like, everyone is very precious about, okay, if I've been delivering 2 day workshops and that's been my main product, or I've got a 12-month program, or they've been attached to the program more than they've been attached to the outcome. And I think now that's
Yeah.
going to change. So I have taken that thinking into my lead magnets. And now I have a lead magnet that will use AI on top of on what they have submitted. So I think you can, not only will it use AI on what they've submitted, it'll use AI in the follow-up email sequences. So because I'm asking them questions like, what do you currently use as your AI tools? In a year from now, what does success look like if you were to use AI in your business? And then I'm asking them, like, who's your people? And I'm delivering this, I call it the dartboard of clarity. Like, if you, because my people are the ones who are really good at delivery and not really good at attract and convert. These are my people. So my people are, they care about delivery way more than they care about the other two. And they kind of going, I wish people knew about me better. So for me, I know that they already have their genius, right? So I'm trying to go, you already have your genius. You need a way to explain it. This is my lead magnet. It's called the dartboard of clarity. And it literally returns back to you a way for you to express yourself better than you've ever been able to express yourself. I think lead magnets are going to change in that way.
Yeah, I think you're right. It won't just be like download this worksheet. It's something a bit more. You've really got me thinking now about this, and really around don't get attached to what you said, the methodology, like how you actually deliver it. What is the actual, really what's the value? What's the transformation? And how can you make it as easy? And the easier you make it and the faster for a client, the more valuable it is.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Whew, wow. So much. This is very exciting. So thank you.
Go.